I wouldn't say Smudge is the guy to emulate too much. He's in his own little world.
But I have batted a lot with Smudge, so I wouldn't mind batting with Joe Root. Yeah, it'd be a nice change.
They've both had time as captain. They're both prolific run scorers. They both had prolific Ashes series. If you had them both in the same team, you could build an incredible batting lineup around those two. So,
what about Steve and what about Joe, both at the crease, and if you've had time with them outside the crease, what sort of separates them in terms of their batting at the crease, and what are they like? Do you see those personalities outside the boundary line?
Oh yeah, they're both exceptional batsmen. They're both very different people, but I mean they bat differently too. That's what makes cricket so great. You have two guys who are great at the game, but then do it so differently.
They're two of the greats of our generation, and from a batter who watches them play, they play to score runs. That's what they do, and they know how to do it, and they know how to do it well, and they know how to do it for long periods of time. So, yeah, credit to both of them for the careers they've had. Both aren't finishers yet, and yeah, they'll go head to head probably in this summer. And again, leading into it, there's going to be a lot of questions around who's going to be the guy and which guys are going to be and who's going to have a better series. But they've dealt with that for 15, 20 years of their careers, and they'll continue to do that, and they'll continue probably to score runs, and they're good players. So, yeah, it's nice to have one in our team, and they've got one in theirs, but also you watch them and, yeah, they know how to score runs.
I've played a lot with Smudge, and obviously I've watched a lot of Joe's game, and I mean, they're both fantastic players. They've both scored runs in all conditions. They've both, done it for a very long time. They're both averaging over 50. I mean, they're both fantastic players. They have certain strengths that Joe obviously quite an offside dominant player, great options off the back foot punch, scores a lot, scores quite fast, especially in England. And I think he's just a great depiction of someone that's really hard to bowl to. And he's one of those guys that, scores runs and you're like, oh, geez, he's been batting for a half hour and he's like 20 off 25. And he just scores so quickly, but you don't really recognise it.
He just seems to get better and better. I think his thirst for runs is so evident. I think, it was weird thinking, 5-6 years ago that he was the lesser of the four, and then now he's probably he's I'd say personally second behind Steve on what he's achieved. I think it's unbelievable what he's been doing recently. I think it's the game he's got himself to. I think he looks like he loves working hard. His technique, I think, he might have got out a certain way, and then you can see quite clearly in the next innings he's got a different way to go about it. So I think the adaptability of Joe and the thirst for runs is been very unique, and obviously an amazing career.
It feels like he's scored runs throughout his whole career. Not really many lean patches, to be honest, that I can remember. Whenever you come up against England, he's always the linchpin. They bat around, it feels like. Probably bats a bit more time than the other guys as well. No real key weaknesses, to be honest. So I think you probably don't notice at the time. You mentioned the big four guys. You sort of just go about your business and bowl your best you can to them. And I think, when we finish, you'll look back at the stats and you'll be like, geez, they were four pretty good players, and they're right up there in that top echelon of batters that have ever played. And you probably don't realise at the time, but it's just a good challenge. Like I love bowling to those type of guys, and seeing the back of them, it's always nice.
I've been very lucky to have only played in the same teams as Steve, so I haven't had to bowl to him in games, which has been nice.
When he walks out, it sort of feels like a bit of a different vibe. I feel like the opposition bowlers go up a level initially, and he's trying to counteract that. And then once he gets on top, it's almost the Steve Smith show a little bit. I remember when I first was playing in the team, we played on some really flat wickets in Australia, and he just didn't miss out. Like other guys would get complacent or chase a wide one or get out for 20 or 30, and he would just make sure he got 100 and ticked them off at a rapid rate there when he became captain. So I don't know, just amazing player for a long time now. So again, no real weaknesses. Sort of feels like we always say he's a great problem solver as well. He just sums up the conditions. This is how I'm going to bat today. because of this reason, and he goes for it.
I played alongside Joe at Yorkshire, and I'd only played maybe 1 or 2 games, and Joe hadn't played for England yet. So, but there's always that thirst to improve, to hit a lot of balls, to be the best. So that's something I guess he's taken through his international career, and you can draw similarities to the way Steve thinks about the cricket. And they've both had time as captain. They're both prolific run scorers. They both had prolific Ashes series. You know, if you had them both in the same team, you could build an incredible batting lineup around those two. So, yeah, it's hard to separate their approach. I think they do things very differently, but at the same time, both deep thinkers and both guys that want to improve or perform every time they walk out to bat for no matter which team they're playing for, but certainly for their countries.
Steve, I think he's so unique. I think he's a guy that you can't try and copy or replicate. I think he's so different in how he goes about cricket. I think he's like, although his record's amazing, and I feel like some people get caught up in keeping that record, I think he's incredibly selfless for the team as well. I think he reads situations really well. If there's a certain situation where, he's on maybe, let's say 80, and he's batting with the last 2, he won't just, happy to play for red ink. I think he's, keen to get the team into a great position. I think he's always looking to play for the team. And his skill set is just outrageous. I don't know if it's his hand-eye, his cricket IQ. He's not scared to look silly to get the job done.
I wouldn't say Smudge is the guy to emulate too much. He's in his own little world and bubble, but in terms of attributes and how they go about things and attitude around the game, I think both, like I said, are run scorers. Both find ways to score runs, score them quickly, get themselves in fast, and you blink and they're sort of 30, 40, 50 runs, which I like. And so more so, not a style or a technique basis, probably my mindset that how you watch them go about things.
Like Smudger, Steve Smith, bats more on the stumps, goes across the stumps, likes to play onside, also has offside, but Rudy normally stays more leg side than anything. Likes to use his hands, free his hands up through there, which in England, it's very, very helpful because the ball doesn't bounce as much. You can actually track the ball quite well, which he's done his whole career really well.
They've shown their difference. Obviously Joe's got a different method in the subcontinent to Steve. Steve probably plays a bit more vertical, doesn't really sweep that much, where Joe sweeps a lot. He's crafty, where Smudge sort of plays off the wicket, uses his skills and his hands to hit square of the wicket. So, they're both amazing players. I would go with Smudge. I think his adaptability to have been able to do it in tough conditions, in good conditions, be able to, the way he's done it, is amazing. But I have batted a lot with Smudge, so I wouldn't mind batting with Joe Root. It'd be a nice change.